I'm starting a new video series on how to develop applications using generative AI. So as part of this first video, I'm going to talk about a tool that I have developed around large language models, which helps me kind of go through case studies or articles or reports very quickly. So it generates questions and answers so that I can prepare for the class. So the same tool can also help anybody like students or anybody else who wants to go through any article or any blog or any report and kind of generate this question answers focusing on certain topics. For example, based on certain facts or events, based on some ideas or concepts. And then it helps me go through the report very quickly. So let's look at the tool now. So this tool is publicly hosted on Streamlit. I'm going to share the link in the description below. So the tool is called Question Answer Generator. So you can enter the OpenAI API key. So currently I'm using OpenAI, but of course I'm going to enhance this to allow you to use any other large language model or even local LLMs as well. And then I can upload a case study, a report, an article. For example, one of the article that I want to go through is this case study from MIT, and this is an open case study which talks about Netflix's journey into Bollywood, how not Netflix entered into an Indian market, so what challenges they had, and how they actually had different strategy to overcome those challenges and had a very good penetration in the Indian market. So this case study is quite long and about I think some 20 pages, and of course I have also the option to go through in detail, which I should, but then initially I just want to kind of feed that to the LLM to kind of create question answers. So I will going to browse files and upload the article. I'm actually uploading a smaller version of it for demonstration, but you can upload bigger articles. I'm currently limiting to 1 MB per file. And then I can provide an instruction here which primarily focuses on the task is to generate a set of questions and its answers from the context that can be discussed in the class. And I'm asking to kind of generate these questions based on 4 different topics. One is factual, facts. The other one is based on identifying strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Then decisions and outcomes, what decisions they took and what were the outcomes of that, whether successful or failure. Then some ethical and governance related considerations they had. So I can actually create the question answer based on certain topics. So now this tool is going to create the questions answers around those topics and create multiple tabs, and within each category it's going to generate set of questions. And moment I say generate Q&A, now it's going to now generate the questions answers. Of course it's going to take a while. I'm also going to explain at the end the code part of it, in which I'm going to tell you how it actually takes the document and splits the document into multiple chunks, and each chunk is goes independently and generate questions and then consolidates at the end. So I've already generated those questions prior to this because it's going to take some time for the demo. So you can see it now creates the tabs for each of the topic that are given here: factual, SWOT analysis, decision outcomes and all that. And each tab, it has a set of questions that is generated. For example, in the factual, it tells you what significant transformation did Netflix undergo from its inception in 1997 to its status in 2019. So Netflix transferred from a mail order DVD rental service into leading streaming video provider with 167 million paid subscribers by 2019, right? And interestingly, it also highlights those keywords so that Kikni I can actually help me to kind of remember and take note of those things. For example, what significant shift in business strategy did Netflix undertake in transition from DVD to rental? So these questions are generated across multiple different topics. Let's look at some of the interesting ones. So what were the financial implications of Netflix's decision to invest heavily in the original content? So Netflix's decision to invest $15 billion in original content significantly increased their production capabilities and content library, right? Reinforcing their market position as a leading streaming service. And this investment likely contributed to the subscriber growth and enhanced the brand value, right? Despite this high cost involved. So it actually helps me to kind of quickly go through the content and kind of note down, and can actually help anybody to kind of generate these questions and answers. So now we'll actually go through the actual code which actually helps you to generate this questions and answers. So let's look at the code implementation. So this is the instruction template, and which comes of course pre-filled in this text box in the UI, which of course you can overwrite based on the kind of document that you want to use to generate this question answers. But it gives you a kind of template to write this instructions, the prompt. So the role, who you are and why you want to generate these questions and answers, and then the questions answers should be generic or basically purely based on certain topics. For example, in this case I've given factual, short, decision outcomes, and so on and so forth. So this should be given as a list here, and it automatically understands that, and the UI is created dynamically for each of the topic given. There's a tab created here, and there'll be always be a download button at the end, which can actually help you to also download the complete set of questions. There's a link here, and if you download that, it gives a CSV file with all the questions, answers, and question types, along with the tags which highlights the important points in the answers. So that's an default instruction template, which of course you can overwrite, but follow the same template which is basically tested based on that. And then this is the context string which gets appended toward the end of this instruction, and which comes with a variable which of course will replace that variable with the actual chunk of the document. Then there's a method which returns the model configured. In this case, we've configured OpenAI. The temperature is 0.0, and the model they're going to use is GPT-4 Turbo. In future, of course, I'm going to kind of create a drop-down menu to choose your own model. And then this is the method, which is the important method, which receives the complete document content, which comes from a method read PDF, which takes the file name and reads the file that you upload to the UI, reads the content of that. And the instruction, this is the default instruction or the overwritten instruction that is from the UI, and the model. So it uses recursive character text splitter to split the document into multiple chunks. As I told, it splits into chunk size of 2000 with overlap 200, and then uses the splitter to actually split the document content, which returns a list of chunks. And here the template is initialized with the instruction and the context string, and I'm also going to create a pandas data frame, an empty data frame with all these columns. So once I receive the response from the LLM, I'm going to fill those questions, answers, insert them into this data frame. So I'm going to go through the list of chunks here, and now each chunk I am invoking the LLM and replacing the variable context content which is given here with the actual page content of that particular chunk. So it returns now the list of questions and answers, which are, by the way, JSON formatted, because that's what the instruction is given. The output should be an array of JSON elements with the following fields and nothing else. In future, we will explore how to actually provide JSON schema to enforce it strictly follows the JSON schema. But I think OpenAI is good enough to just give instruction and it returns in a JSON format. So the JSON, now we iterate through the JSON and update the pandas data frame and insert those questions and answers. And once we go through all the chunks, the final data frame is returned, which of course will return to the UI to kind of create the tabs and the download button. So I'm going to write a blog, and the link will the blog is also given in the description, so you can go through the code in detail to understand the implementation, and probably you can implement your own tool yourself. So please use the tool and give your feedback, upload your own files, write the instructions carefully, generate the questions and answers. You can probably provide a screenshot of what you're doing in the comments below, and please use the tool carefully, because currently there are no safeguards. So if you give instructions to kind of break this, it will break. But in the future video of this series, I'm going to also talk about how to actually implement safeguards for AI safety, and ensure that even if you give wrong instructions and all that, will take care of it. But as of now, there are no safeguards inbuilt. It assumes that you give the right instructions. So please use the tool carefully and give your feedback in the comments. And thank you, and see you in the next video of the series.